Okay. All right. My name is Lauren Kunkel. Today I'll be discussing the effects of discipline inside and outside of the classroom. Teachers, parents, and administration all want the classroom to be focused and a safe place with supportive manners. In order to have the classroom being able to be learned in, there needs to be a basic level of respect and have students excel as well, you be focused. But what happens if one or more students acts out, distracts the class, prohibiting the supportive and focusedness of the classroom? More importantly, what happens if there's a more severe behavior occurring where redirection and repetition of class rules do not help? The decision on being suspended from school is based off of a number of factors, from disrupting the classroom or being a threat to safety. Suspension can be a useful tool, though it is controversial. A case study by Neil Bloomberg of Villanova University examines that it compares the application and the effectiveness of both in-school and out-of-school suspension, which is ISS and OSS. The purpose was to show that ISS is the better choice, that has better outcomes than OSS. And according to a 1992 report called Public High Schools, the Uses of Rehabilitation and Punitive Forms of Discipline by Anthony Adams, ISS came about when a lot of people believed that OSS wasn't as supportive as ISS is for their peers, and it has a better rehabilitation being inside of the school rather than outside. In ISS, the student learns, it was removed from the classroom in an ISS classroom, and that could be for a part of a day or several days. OSS removes the student from the classroom entirely, or the school entirely rather, and in ISS, there's teachers that have materials that could either change or stop a behavior. Some things like school shootings, drugs, violence are behavioral problems that the school would tackle first and act for justification for these tougher decisions of suspension. A 1997 journal article titled "The Dark Side of Zero Tolerance" by Russell Skiba, Reese Peterson, and Tara Williams that suggests that the most cited discipline problems actually have little to do with violence, but instead it's more of an insubordination and classroom defiance. The journal also examines school districts and their history of violent behaviors and then their disciplinary actions, office referrals, and then their punishments. They found that students, the ones that led to office referrals, were nonviolent, and that about 17,000 of them actually, in one school district, actually had 33% of them ended with OSS, out of school suspension. And a lot of schools developed a zero tolerance policy, especially after high profile shootings like Columbine. William Ayers, in a 2001 research journal called "To Teach: The Journey of a Teacher," he found that using the zero tolerance policy, OSS increased by 51%. He looked in Chicago public school districts. Another article that supports a negative response to OSS is Virginia Kostenbatter's and Samia Markinson's School Suspension, a study with secondary school students. And that doesn't support the effectiveness of OSS with misconduct in schools. They had a survey. They examined 252 students with their responses on how suspension affected their school career. It said 69% of them thought the OSS was of little use, 55% were angry at the person that gave them the suspension, and 32% of them thought that they would receive some type of suspension again, OSS suspension actually. In 1999, the Department of Education released a study on 1997's OSS based on different races and ethnicities. Black males were the most suspended group, followed by Hispanic males. Even if they controlled the socioeconomic status, it had the same results. And then another study on the use of ISS was in 1997 by Tammy Turpin and Dawn Harden. And that study was approximately half black, half white, And in that classroom, they had no staff, only cameras. And the staff did intervene if there was speaking or some type of disruptive behavior in the room. It showed that the bare essentials can be used for punishment and reform, and it does not give the vacation feel that OSS does, being home. Yeah. Teachers in the ISS study also stated that they think that's the real punishment, staying inside the classroom. And then Larry Leapley also did a study in 1997 as well with 20 school districts on forms of ISS. There was positive results as well over OSS. And it was said that it reduced violent behaviors. They had control groups, and he looked at different forms of ISS because there's different ways to handle staying in school suspension, teachers in, teachers out. They had similar suspension rates, all the schools that he compared, and it had positive outcomes. Neil Bloomberg ends his case study saying that there needs to be more research in ISS because there are different models and forms. They have to find which form it benefits best. Thanks for listening.
How do you know?